Greetings, YouTube. I'm trying a new sound setting for this video, so let's hope it works. Um, I found myself thinking about the abstraction that games, both tabletop games and video games, use when it comes to the weight that the character carries, or the characters in some games. And I know I've talked about weapon weights here on my channel before, but weights in general are just oddly abstract in role-playing games. I know that at one time, one of the versions of D&D, I don't remember which one, weights were represented in coins, which I thought was very odd. Because in the real world, we use all kinds of weights and have in the past and we do in the present, but we don't really weigh things by coins. Well, with the exception of like a talent of copper, which was a weight of copper that was kind of used as a unit of measure. Like if something was worth X number of talents of something. But that was more along the lines of just kind of an odd form of coinage than using coinage as a weight. Um, and I thought of this because I've been watching a lot of Fallout 4 because I really enjoy the discussions of the building of the settlements and the gameplay itself, and a number of the people I've found on YouTube are quite entertaining when it comes to watching their playthroughs. And yes, I have a deep affection for people with accents. A lot of British accents in the games I watch. Um, and the game uses weight. Now they have these units that have numbers. So someone could have a carry weight of 300. 300 what? Because even the lower character with the lowest weight allowance, a character with the strength of 1, which is considered pretty much to be the human norm, and the stats go up from there. Even though a person has a carry of 1, their a carry weight with the score of 1, their carry weight is this number, and I think it's like 140 or something like that, or 150 maybe. It's really low as far as the potential of carrying things in this game. But if you're at a human average, that can't be pounds. And even if each point was half a pound, 75 pounds, that's a lot of weight for your average person. Even on your back in a good pack, your average person is going to have a really difficult time struggling under a 75-pound weight. Now, I realize that our military personnel carry more weights than I think some of them are carrying the 90-pound range. But they've also been trained and conditioned. They're no longer the average score of a 1, using the Fallout 4 universe as an example. Now, when I use fantasy games, I always use traditional weights. So, it's pounds, it's, tons, things like that. And volumes can be things like bushels and things, the kinds of weights that were used in the actual Middle Ages, heck, up right up through the 19th century for the most part. And there's some place, and in Britain, you can still hear people talking about someone weighing so many stones, and a stone is 14 pounds. So someone weighing 10 stones, 140 pounds. At my maximum weight loss, I had lost 7 stones. That's a lot of weight. I'm not at my maximum weight loss any longer. And I always did that because it's traditional. It feels right if you have those kind of pounds and drams and yards and chains and what have you. And when it comes to modern games, because most modern games are set that I've drawn have been set in America, I just tend to use our traditional measuring system, which is archaic and stupid. You don't have to tell me, I understand. When I'm running a science fiction game in the future science fiction, I always run it in metric. In a post-apocalyptic games, I make the assumption that unless the apocalypse happened in America in the very current era, the measurements are also going to be a metric. I'm making the bold assumption that eventually America is going to wake up from its haze of stupidity and fully adopt the metric system. Now, I don't think in the metric system. I just don't. So I need to do the calculations in my head so I have an idea of what I'm discussing when I'm talking about the metric system. But I try to use grams and millimeters when I'm talking about knives and stuff, because let's face it, most of humanity doesn't use any other system other than metric. That there are what, 2 countries left in the world that don't use metric, and the United States is one of them. Yeah, it's kind of absurd. Um, in post-apocalyptic games, I tend to make a little bit different. For example, I'm making an assumption I'm going to play that there's some loss of knowledge. Um, yes, I'm being very plastic with this. I'm being absurd because yes, I don't know. Even as I have preached in the past, post-apocalyptic era is going to be very short. You're talking 20 to 40 years, and then you're just in a different time period. But we all love post-apocalyptic eras that run longer, and I'm the same way. I'm very plastic with entropy. It's very flexible, it's dynamic, um, and I love Gamma World. And I think that the Mutant Epoch is a great currently supported game that does the same genre fairly well, though it's presented a little darker than I prefer. But you can always tone down darkness. Um, so I'll do things like M's for length, half an M, meaning a meter. That someone saw the measurement, didn't know what it meant, and just said M. So I'll play off things like that. It's like a distance. It's so many Ks. They don't necessarily know what a K is. I mean, they know what a K is, but they don't know the derivative of the word, where the word came from. They just say K and things like that. There's one suggested in the fourth edition Game of World, the 1992 edition. I should point out. I should make specific because there is an actual version based off the fourth edition D&D game. Yes, even more confusing. And they call plastic no grain because it's not metal and it's not wood, but it's lighter than metal. It's kind of like wood, but it's got no grain, so they call plastic no grain. I did the same thing. But I've always wondered, why do gaming companies use weird ass abstract weight systems? What's wrong with just using metric for Fallout? Or heck, if you need to use the American system, what's wrong with using the American system? Do things in pounds, in ounces if you want to. Ounces of viable weight. You could say a gun weighs X number of ounces, or a cup weighs X number of ounces. Or you could use decimal and say, point X pounds, 0.3 pounds, 0.7 pounds, things like that. There's no reason you couldn't do that. That's a viable method of tracking weight. But instead, we get these weird ass crap like in Fallout, where they're just saying a number disconnected from the objects that it's supposed to be, regulating, codifying, keeping track of. Now, they went to the trouble to assign this abstract number to every object in the game. So as you add those onto your person, as you're carrying them around, or to your companion, and the weight limit goes up and up and up, eventually you hit it and you surpass it and you can't move quickly. It makes perfect sense. Okay, I get that. And in a video game, it's wonderful because the game mechanics, the engine, tracks the encumbrance. The person doesn't have to worry about it. So they went to the trouble to assign a number to every object in the universe, excepting ammo and caps. Why didn't they assign real units of measure? I just don't get it. Could someone explain this to me? What is their reasoning? Does anybody do game development? Do you have any idea why this is a thing? Why can't we just use real world units of weight? That would make so much more sense. Sure, the Americans' weights and measure system is absurd, but at least it would be something that people could easily connect to the game, instead of having this arbitrary number that's just weight. Though I guess if you really want to think about it, it's all very philosophical, isn't it? It's kind of meta measurements.